Are we having fun yet? I should be studying, but I can't sleep because I'm too excited for Christmas. No, actually, I am fascinated, like everyone else is in this community, with sort of the outpour of recognition of the hypocrisies that have been taking place, and the amount of spiritual bypassing that has, through good intention and maybe a bit of exploitation, lots of exploitation, has come to pass as culture, and it's really forced each and every one of us, surely to some degree or another. There are early adopters. There are those who are going to be like corralled, I'm sure, just by social influence to start taking the shadow journey for themselves. But yeah, I couldn't study for my exams because I had to look up at the skies and see what the hell was going on. And frankly, it is perfect. Wow, okay, so I wanted to share a little bit of insight as to what I see coming just based on the cosmic architecture. All right. Okay, then. So here we are, squaring up at the patterns that we are meant to have left behind, or actively leave behind right now, to face up to a destiny that we're meant to fulfill. A square between the nodes in this case with Mars indicates skipped steps in our evolutionary course, and at the final degree of Pisces indicates the final moments before a new cycle is birthed into existence. In short, we are being called upon to aggressively and thoroughly examine our spiritual bypassing. If we want to step back and nosedive into the south node and enter the shadow of Sagittarius, we're totally invited to go ahead and try to make converts and religious commodities out of people at the expense of rational discussion. And to continue a brutal cycle of making cults of personality where emperor topples emperor rather than exploring how we got to this point. If you want to fulfill this opportune step of the evolutionary course at hand, you're going to want to do your research. A new way of being is fighting its way into existence. We will fall prey to the shadows of Gemini and look upon this as a novel spectacle and gossip about it in our local circle if we're not careful about this. Or we can rigorously examine all angles of this equation that we're facing. I love the callouts that are happening for reevaluation, and that they happen at the same time that Neptune went stationary in Pisces. The drift through this dreamy fog seems to have come to a dead pause as the hammer strikes the hot iron and the clouds are dissipating violently in this sonic eruption. It's kind of poetry in motion. And it's going to stay in motion as Mars is greeted into Aries, its domicile, with Saturn boosting it with a kind of initiatory staying power. It's going to need it to be in the sign over the next 6 months as it penetrates the subject of the warrior archetype. What does it mean to be a man in our culture? Where is the seat of masculine potency, and how has that masculinity wounded and been wounded, especially by its own drives. I hope you've got your dream journals ready, gentlemen, and that you're already, by some impulse, doodling up sigils of the anima that resides in your psyche before 2 weeks from now. We have 3 cosmic bodies simultaneously stationary: Mercury, the mind; Chiron, the wisdom of the pain body; and the North Node, karma itself, all coming to a pause. Think of this moment in time as a Polaroid burnt into our minds, a flash that will be set in memory in the scrapbook of our lives. Willpower, yang, determination, libido will be crashing right toward the pain body in this moment of suspense and holding tight to Venus in Gemini. This is a powerfully vulnerable time for conversations that invite rational observation of the phenomenon and drive behind those feelings while holding space for them. At the same time, the sun, the will, the self, the ego will be in nurturing and alchemizing Cancer in opposition to Pluto and Jupiter in the established and commandeering Capricorn. This is the death of the known structures, big, dramatic, and on display for everyone to see. This is a shamanic dismemberment on the collective level, and these planets are in tension with dark Lilith, adding primal and potentially destructive intensity to the mix. If you're not aware of your darkest desires and nasty shadows, prepare for the possibility of getting eaten alive by the social and interpersonal forces at play. Luckily, dreamy Neptune is in a positive aspect with the sun, adding a bit of idealism to the mix. It gives us some authority to reimagine ourselves, but the warning here is to ensure that such authority is not a product of the imagination. To recognize that authority and the responsibilities that come with it are fundamentally rooted in the direct realm of cause and effect. Collect the data that is available to you, sort it into information, distill it into knowledge through conversation. Reference and discern the wisdom of what sticks through yet another process of cause and effect, and grow it sustainably to address very real personal and community needs, rather than cultivating an identity born of fantasy. And if we mess this up, we will have a couple more cosmic opportunities to correct the spiritual bypassing in the next 6 months. But you're going to probably want to take full advantage of this particular energy because, like all events, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. And I encourage you to believe in the power of now, because this is probably not going to be a wall that you will want to keep hitting your part of the collective consciousness up against, because this is just a small step in a series of far more interesting and forward-moving existential challenges that we're mounting up to in what we are coming to know as 2020. So, enjoy the show. Inside, outside.